Hello, everyone. Good morning. Coming at you live without a warning. I hope you're all having a great day and you're ready for a little Bible slay. What do you say? I say I better check my sound. That's what I say. But since it's probably working, I'll say the happy Saturday part. Happy Saturday. Happy, maybe in your part of the world you call it something different. Maybe you call it like I don't know. I don't know what Saturday is in other languages, but there's probably a lot of them that got another name for it. So happy that day to you, or whatever day. My sound's working. Whatever day it might be that you come across this stream. This is Jay Balvale, and I'm glad to have you here. Welcome to my channel. If you are new and you end up enjoying this content, then please be sure to hit a like, share, or subscribe. So, yep, today is one of those Saturdays where it's just one of those days, like Limp Bizkit said. No, not really like that. More like it's one of those Saturdays like I've had before where it's just going to be so much more wise for me to stream in the morning because it's going to be a busy day. And even though I might be able to squeeze it in the afternoon, it would probably just be better for me to do it this morning. So, good morning to you all. Or maybe you're over in like Europe and it's the afternoon. Well, happy afternoon in Europe to you. All right, there's all my stuff set up nice and good, like we like it. Perfect. All right, then. What do we want to talk about before we start today? Do we want to talk about suffering? No, don't talk about that. I don't want to think about suffering. Yeah, right. I'm sure you already got more than enough of it on your plate. We are here in the realm of suffering. It's suffering all the way up and all the way down. Like a wise man once said, it's turtles all the way down, except the turtles are suffering. And in order to navigate through this suffering, there really is only one answer, and that is compassion. So, are you showing compassion to your fellow suffering beings, or are you not? Well, that's for you to figure out. But that truly is the only way to win the game of life, as they call it, the Matrix. Ashley Romero, welcome in. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and welcome into the rest of you just popping in. Great to see you here. Right, we call it the Matrix. How to escape the Matrix. Well, that's exactly how is with compassion. And so if you're not exercising that compassion, which a great way to do is through things like karma yoga, things like bhakti yoga, meditation will help with that. Doing the rituals of high magic will help you do that. All right, well, I don't really have much more yap than that. So anyway, there we go. We have a few of them showing up, and that's what we love. Let's start our music up, and let's pull from our tarot because this one is going to be not way long, but it's going to be that in that little over an hour, maybe like an hour and 20 realm. But this one today is going to be so good. It's going to be like some top tier like yesterday's was. This book has been really good so far. Maybe we'll get to a part where we'll say, "Oh no, this isn't so good anymore." Doubtful, but only time will tell, huh? All right then. So, Book of Thoth, Manly P. Hall's Book of Thoth, what do you have for us today? As we go into our section 6, it's a Saturday, at least in this particular time and space it is. But for somebody out there, it's probably a Monday because they're in the future. And so I'm sorry that it's Monday. It's like Garfield said about Mondays, huh? Actually, Garfield, don't listen to him about Mondays. Mondays can be wonderful. That's a day that's ruled by the moon. Maybe say a mantra to the moon. Maybe say a prayer to the moon. Maybe ask the great Lord Ganesha to intervene on behalf of your Monday. Or don't. Do what thou wilt. All right, so Book of Thoth, Book of Thoth. What do you have for us? Shuffle you up. Trying to be oh so careful because, as I've said already, but in case anybody missed it, this deck of Manly P. Halls is just so delicate. I'm sure there's other decks like that out there, but I don't know. I don't have a ton of tarot decks, just a handful. And the other ones are not like that. They're not as delicate. All right, we'll give it one more and we'll see what is in store. Copper Kid, thank you for your subscription. And TK858 said, Jesus loves you. You're right. This Jesus right here on the book, you are absolutely right about that, TK858. Jesus does love me, and Jesus loves you. And Jesus loves all. But can you tell me, TK858, riddle me this. Why does Jesus love us all? Now I gotta shuffle up again because I was caught up in the chat. That happens a lot, huh? We see streamers out here get real caught up in the chat from time to time. And welcome in to those of you just coming in. All right, that ought to be a good shuff, and it's this card right here on top. I see a Trump. I see a king. Is it the Emperor? Oh, it was a Trump. It's the universe, the world, le monde. As you can see, Sunshine Chick, welcome in. Happy Saturday. Always great to see you. I hope all is well in your world. Okay, so le monde, the world. And Manly did us the favor of putting 21 and 22 because it's technically the 22nd card, but because the Fool is 0, then it gets bumped down to 21. So either way you look at it, that is correct. And he keeps this one. So he uses on his trump cards, he uses Eliphas Levi's correspondences of the Hebrew alphabet. So, but this one actually will stay the same. This one is still Tet. No, Tau. Tau. Sometimes I still flip those ones from time to time. Tau is the one. Tau cross. And we see that a little bit here in his hieroglyph at the top. A cross divided into 4 parts in this shield here. Well, that's going to be those 4 elements. Here we see that hidden 5th element, which is the goddess of the universe herself, dancing around. She's doing her dance. And we could say that she's stirring up what we see in the corners here. Each of the elements represented with their what's the name of those? Well, the beasts, but I know there's a specific name for them. But anyway, we see the eagle for Scorpio, and we see the cup by it for water. The man. Oh, I think he has those flipped around too. No, he has this stuff all flipped around. Manly, what are you doing to me? Because he's got the coin. Why does he have these flipped the way he does? Well, I don't know. I haven't read into the book, so that's a code I might have to crack in my free time. But either way, we see Scorpio, Aquarius, Taurus, and Leo here. Why is Scorpio? Scorpio's the only one that's right. Scorpio's water, and Scorpio's got the cup by it, but then Taurus has the air, the sword, Aquarius has the fire, the wand, and Leo has the coin, the earth. I don't know. I'm gonna have to read into why he did that. Unless there's somebody here who it's making perfect sense to, then please hit me up, drop it in the chat. But the woman of the universe, and one thing I know a good chunk of people know, but maybe not everyone, is this band going around her is, well, there's 2 things about it. One thing is it's covering the lower part of the genitals, so we see the breast exposed, and then we see the bottom part covered up though, and that's because it's the initiated secret. The big secret is that that's because there's a male genitalia. So this is actually that hermaphrodite. And then also that ribbon being in the shape of the Hebrew letter Kaf, which is usually the wheel of fortune. However, in this, because of those Levy correspondences, it all gets bumped over. So it's like, I can't remember which one it is in this one. Like I said, I'm not like 100% familiar with this deck. It's not technically my deck, but I get to use it for this, so that's a special treat. With the elemental thing, that's the main thing we see here is the stirring up of the elements that makes the universe possible in the first place. But she's the conductor of all that. She's not stressed out by all of that. And so if you're finding yourself stressed out by that, if you're finding yourself stressed out by any one of the four, if not all four elements, then what you need to do is go back to the center, just like she is, and remember that you are the conductor. You are the mother matrix herself. That ties in like what I was saying about the suffering, right? Well, she has compassion. Does she look like she's being a jerk out here? I don't think so. I mean, she is kind of conducting some, you could argue she conducts both the good and the bad, but ultimately, she's going to be coming from a place of compassion. So do that with yourself, not just the world around you, but especially yourself, because as within, so without, right? I think that's going to be our message today. That's the read I'm getting off of this, is the reminder that our world, our le monde, hey, that's kind of like lemon or lemonade. There you go. Life gives you lemons, make lemonade. That's what this is basically saying here, but in French. Do just that. That you are the center of your world, but not in a solipsistic way. In the way of you guys know. I don't have to tell you. The way that you are the center, the dot inside the circle, which we also see here. She's the dot. Here's the circle, which circumference is everywhere, or at least for all of us within our subjective field of experience, because quantum science says that without us observing things, it doesn't even really exist. So that's crazy. That's crazy to think the other parts of my house right now don't even exist, or the people who aren't here in this live stream right now but are going to catch it on the replay. That you guys, you don't even exist until you watch the replay. That is, then you exist. And I'm grateful for your existence. I'm grateful for you being here. Let's go ahead and call that the reading for the day. And let's get into this section 6. Gonna start us out with some fire. This one's going to be real good. Nebuchadnezzar's dream, the king, and his terrible dream he had that he had to have young Daniel, I think it was. Daniel, yeah, interpret for him. So let's see what Manly's got to say about that. Let's see if that statue he saw was symbolic of something, perhaps. But it was. All right, then, my dear, sweet fellow followers of the Lord, my most beloved friends, I love you all so much. Happy Saturday. Okay, so section 6, starting us out with Nebuchadnezzar's dream. In the chapter of the book of Daniel, beginning at verse 21 and continuing through verse 45, is the account of a strange dream interpreted to the king of Babylon. The king beheld a great image, the head of which was of fine gold, its breast and arms of silver, its body of brass, its legs of iron, and its feet a mixture of iron and clay. As the great figure stood in all its glory, a cubic stone was mysteriously cut from a quarry and cast by invisible hands at the feet of the great image. As the stone struck the feet, the image was destroyed, changing into fine dust. The cube afterward grew greater in size until it became as vast as a mountain. The explanation given by Daniel is definitely misleading. The prophet explains to Nebuchadnezzar that the golden head, the silver arms and breast, the brazen body, the iron legs, and the feet of iron and clay symbolize empires that shall fall one after the other. From this conceit has arisen much confusion in modern theology. Every nation of the ancient and modern world has been associated with the parts of Nebuchadnezzar's image. The Second Adventists have rejoiced at, and various Bible societies have announced the millennium as a result of calculations based upon the parts of this symbolic figure. These millennianites have been fixing dates for the second coming for nearly 1,000 years. But the end is not yet. This is a fair example of the general lack of research and scholarship evident among most groups of religious enthusiasts. Right, that second coming. When's it gonna happen? Huh? Well, that's up to you. The figure of Nebuchadnezzar's dream is definitely a macrocosmic man, the great Kabbalistic man of the Zohar, the Adam Kadmon, the world symbol, later revived in Alexandria under the name Seraphis. The Alexandrian Seraphis, as described by the early church fathers, was a figure composed of many metals and substances, including even plants. It was worshipped as an epitome of nature, divine and human. Therefore, its upper parts were of more precious substances, and its lower parts of baser materials. Although the description given in Daniel is somewhat mutilated, nevertheless the symbolism is apparent. The head of the image is of gold, the upper body and arms of silver, sorry, new tongue, the lower body of bronze, and the legs and feet of a substance composed of the minglings of iron and clay. Compare these with the four ages of the Greeks, the gold, the silver, the bronze, and the iron. Also with the four yugas of the Hindus, of which the lowest or fourth, the Kali Yuga, corresponds closely with the feet of iron and clay. Oh no, that Kali Yuga. You don't gotta look around far to see that. Remember what they said about the Kali Yuga? The people would have nothing to worship but demons. Oh boy, yeah, we don't see that all over the place. The ancient Zohar says that the four worlds were represented by four atoms, or the four parts of one colossal figure whose body nature is, and God the soul. Dang, there's our universe card right there. These dang cards, boy, they get us good. This great figure is always described by the Kabbalists with its face in profile without eyelids, and ornamented with a long beard ending in 13 points. The head of this being is gold, symbolizing the pure nature of divinity, the head of all life. The silver arms and shoulders correspond to the active parts, the hierarchies, which emanate from the golden head. They are the builders, the angels, the archangels, the seraphim, and the cherubim, the thrones and the dominations, and the principalities. The bronze body is the zodiac, the planets, the material cosmos, the forms of the hierarchies above, and lastly, the fourth world of iron and clay represents the earth, which, according to the ancient philosophers, was girded by a wall of iron. Here, the iron is the firmament, and the clay, the planet Earth itself. Nice one, man. Nor do the analogies end here, for the figure represents the cycles of generation. The head is birth, the shoulders growth, the body maturity, the legs age, and the feet death. Here also is represented the constitution of man, the mental body gold, the emotional body silver, the vital body bronze, and the higher and lower parts of the physical body iron and clay. The figure, therefore, is a kind of Sephiroth, a tree in the form of a man, a tree that bears the world and the heavens upon its branches and represents in its various parts the divisions of both the macrocosm and the microcosm. Here also is signified the five races and the four world periods, the fourth being divided into two parts, the Mars Mercury halves of the Earth period. The cubic stone in the Christian Kabbalah has been exoterically interpreted as Christ. This is the stone the builders rejected, but which becomes the head of the corner. The theologians would have us believe that the ages and the law, the cycles and the worlds, the mechanism of the ancient mysteries were all dissolved and destroyed by the messianic dispensation. But consider the symbolism of the cube. It is the most perfect of the geometric solids, being equal in all its parts. It consists of six faces, which represent the days of creation, and of 12 lines which symbolize the zodiac. If each of the faces be open to the core, the result will be a cruciform design consisting of 6 pyramids. Each of the separate pyramids will have 4 faces, which total 24. The number of the elders before the throne in Revelation, and also the hours of the day. If the 24 be added to the 6 faces of the cube, the result will be 30, the degrees of a zodiacal sign, and a 12th part of a circle. It is written, therefore, that the perfect cube is symbolic of the New Jerusalem, the city foursquare. According to the Pythagoreans, the cube is a symbol of both matter and man, the opening of the cube being a symbol of the unfoldment of man and the releasing of geometric mysteries within himself. To the Christian, Christ is the perfect man. Therefore, he becomes the embodiment of the perfect measure of a man, the cube. So, see there again, that's why I say that the haters don't want to hear it, but for the majority of the Western world, Christ is just going to be one of the best placeholders, symbols for your HGA, your capital S self. Because here's the thing about how images work, right? And why the Christian symbolism and mysteries and all of that are things you want to pursue if you're somebody who calls himself a magician. Because these images have been shoved in our face since the minute we came into this world. So they're just going to have such a stronger gut punch than Eastern types of symbolism. Not to say that that still can't be very powerful, but in the way that our minds work, in the way that our subconscious work, in the way our psychology, everything, these Western images. And so even if you want to be like all these super cool people out here who want to talk about how, oh, the church is bad, the church is the demons, they're the bad guys, Satan's the good guy, blah, goodness gracious. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but the problem is when you were most young and impressionable, you were literally shoved the image of Christ all the time, saying this is the Savior, this is the perfect man, all of that. And so unless you're a real like expert at changing those types of things around in your mind, then quit resisting. Go with the flow. Especially if you call yourself a magician, then you shouldn't be I don't know, playing all these silly ego games, but magic does tend to do that for some folks. In Freemasonry, the perfect ashlar or trude stone is the proper figure of the perfect man, for he is square, upright, and true, which are the moral qualities of a cube. The perfect cube represents the personality that has had all the unevenness, roughness, and inequality polished away by experience. Such a stone is ready to become a block in the everlasting house, not built by hands, but eternal in the heavens. If then Nebuchadnezzar's man symbolizes the universe and the world, and the stone symbolizes the adept, the perfect man, then we understand how worldliness is dissipated by wisdom, how the material universe is overcome by that which is square and true, and being overcome is entirely dissipated, leaving not a rack behind. There you go. Exactly. So, whatever. If you feel that you're a person who just doesn't care, you just don't care about taking advantage of people, you just don't really care about you're gonna make it big. You're gonna be the big bad millionaire wizard. You're gonna really up your Bitcoin with your sorcery. Well, we now understand why this cube stone becomes larger and larger until it becomes a mountain. Wisdom itself is frequently symbolized by a mountain or hill. Truth, having overcome error, fills the whole world with itself, increasing greatly in size. It fills the life of him to whom it is revealed. All right, well, that does it for Nebuchadnezzar's dream. The story of Samson. Oh, yeah. Let's see what Manly's got to say about that. So the story of Samson. The life of Samson is given in Judges 13 to 16, inclusive. Careful study will show that the entire account is a cleverly concealed myth, which parallels very closely the Greek myth of Hercules. The name Hercules means the glory of Hera, who was the queen of heaven. In Hebrew, Samson means sunlight. Samson is a solar personification and, like Hercules, performs certain labors consistent with his role. The myth was devised evidently when the vernal equinox occurred in Taurus, or at least under the influence of such a concept. It is especially interesting to note that the strength of Samson lay in his 7 locks of hair. In classical symbolism, the hair of the sun god represents his rays or powers. For this reason, the infant sun god born at the winter solstice is represented with 1 lock of hair. Its powers or rays increase as it moves from the winter solstice to the summer solstice. Under these conditions, it will reach the summer solstice in Leo with 7 locks of hair. One of the great labors of Hercules was the slaying of the Nemean lion and dressing in its skin. Samson likewise slew a lion and found honey in the carcass. The sun, reaching Leo, is robed in the sign of the celestial lion. Its essential dignity was according to astrology. By the same rule, the carrying away of the gates of Gaza would correspond with the vernal equinox when the sun breaks away from the captivity of winter. The sign of Leo is followed by Virgo, the Virgin, which is Delilah. This is the sun's first sign of decreasing light. Delilah, therefore, after 3 unsuccessful attempts, discovers the secret of his strength and, at the autumnal equinox, cuts off his hair or rays. Later, he is blinded, further to emphasize his loss of power. But finally, in death, the winter solstice, he destroys the house of the Philistines by bringing down the 2 central columns. This is a grand astronomical myth and has a certain messianic significance. It should be remembered that all sun gods are prototypes of the Christ, or phases of the Christ mythos. An early theological writing says that Christ, by his death, destroyed death and brought an end to evil in the world. This is perfectly prefigured by Samson tearing down the house of the Philistines and dying himself to destroy the world, destroy the wicked. As Samson's 7 locks of hair were the secret of his strength, so the Lamb of God bled from 7 wounds. All sun god myths are indicative not only of the sun in the sky, but the small sun, or spirit in man, which achieves emancipation by the performance of the 12 labors which make his zodiac of experience. Thus, all of the world's saviors are personifications of humanity's struggle for truth and final accomplishment of immorality. All right, I'm going to take a drink before we get on to the next part, the vision of Ezekiel. And let's see, Reigning Reigns 123. Welcome, Reigning Reigns says false doctrine, deception. Well, you sound like a real expert on the matter. Why don't you go ahead and elaborate some more, Mr. Reigning Reigns? That's a little redundant, isn't it? That's like twice redundant, your comment and your username. So maybe you can hit us with some more redundancy, huh? I guess it could be raining blood, huh? Like Slayer. Man, people see it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can't win for losing out here. You're just swimming in the suffering. What did I already say, huh? This person especially, great example right here. But a lot of these people really look, I've already had 2 of them today. I've had one person in here coming in talking about Jesus loves you, right as I break out the tarot cards. I got another person in here talking about false doctrine, deception. So see, the atheists, the Christians, the fanatics, like Swami V said, right? The fanatics, all alike. Well, we got to pray for them, guys. They got some work to do. They'll figure it out eventually. Everybody's got to figure it out eventually. So we're praying for your raining rains, 1, 2, 3. The vision of Ezekiel. We don't need to pray for TK858. She's praying for us. The opening chapters of the book of Ezekiel are devoted to a mysterious vision that occurred while the prophet was among the captives by the river of Chebar. The metaphysical experience was described in the Bible the metaphysical experiences described in the Bible most frequently occur near water. In religious symbolism, water is a symbol of the etheric world that extends beyond the physical plane of life. Nice. I'm going to finish this paragraph and then we've got a really cool picture over here. The river Styx, across which Karen, one of the two, rose the dead, symbolizes the etheric interval between the physical and astral planes. Of similar significance is the river Jordan, upon whose farther shore await the souls of the redeemed, according to Christian religious enthusiasts. The Nile was sacred to Egypt, and the pious Brahmin hopes to die beside the Ganges. Rivers are universally significant of transition. All right, here's that image. The vision of Ezekiel. So we see that sick chariot, these angels as the wheels. Oh man. That's Ezekiel down there looking, and there's the river. That sky opened up, and the chariot of the Lord came forth. Good old Ezekiel. He dropped to his knees. Man, that's a really cool one. And One True Goddess, welcome in, says, looked kind of similar to the tarot card you pulled. Yeah, kind of. I mean, well, we see definitely, obviously, the chariot card here, but yeah, we could kind of look at it that way a little bit. There's our ring right there. And then if this is the mother of the universe come forth to spill the secrets to Ezekiel about the elements. All right, then. Cool. All right, well, let's see what more Manly has to tell us about Ezekiel. Thus it occurs that Ezekiel receives his strange vision on the shores of the etheric consciousness, the river Chebar, that is that mystic stream which flows between the material and divine worlds. The account, therefore, very definitely is indicative that the prophet Ezekiel received his vision while in a state between physical and superphysical consciousness. The occultist knows that it is ever thus that visions come. Right, exactly. We talk about how we quote unquote see things or quote unquote hear things, but that's exactly it right there. So there's a good giveaway if you've got people out here talking about how they're seeing that they're especially like just steadily seeing manifestations of things. Well, they might not be an adept as much as they might have one of those things that causes people to hallucinate all the time. Ezekiel beheld a whirlwind coming out of the north, a great cloud filled with fire, in the midst of which appeared the chariot of the Most High. The direction from which the vision came is of the greatest importance. And that's not to say that, every once in a while, sure, you can conduct a ritual powerful enough that you will literally see things, and or even you do devotion steadily enough, like the HGA thing, where for a very small window, after like months and months and months of doing this thing, sometimes a year plus, finally you get a manifestation, you get an actual physical manifestation, but it comes and goes. It's not like now you just always have this angel walking around with you that only you can see. So like I said, there's just so many ways to tell what type of time people are really on when they're saying things. And there he is, Mike Rodick. Welcome back. Mike Rodick says that his favorite Bible verse is Ephesians chapter 6, verse 5. Go ahead and put it in the chat, Mike. Give us the verse. Copy paste it in there. King James Version, please. All right, so the direction which it comes from, the vision, is of greatest importance. In the teachings of the Egyptians, the north was regarded as the abode of the gods. In one secret metaphysical system, it is clearly set forth that a temple of the gods must have an eastern, a southern, and a western gate, but at the north end there shall be no gate. The ancients devised this belief because to them the sun never appeared in the northern part of the heavens. The Egyptians' polar mountain was the abode of the old, dark gods, the fathers of the divine kings. The mysterious Meru of the Hindus, the mountain of the gods, is a polar mountain, as likewise Shambhala, whose ridgepole is the polar axis. As the gods dwelt in the north, men might not travel there. In honor of the gods, the northern part of the temple was without gate or opening to signify the unapproachable majesty of divinity and the secret abode of the most holy spirits. Hence, it was from the north, from the Axis mountain, that the whirling vision of Ezekiel came. This indicates beyond any doubt that the prophet Ezekiel was wise in the learning of the Egyptians and had accepted their concepts of the northern mysteries. Out of the whirlwind from the north there appeared an extraordinary instrument of power. The Bible gives no name to the chariot of majesty, but by the Hebrews it is called the Merkavah. The Merkavah was so sacred to the old rabbins that it might be spoken of only with the greatest veneration, and only in the presence of the elders and among the elders. The Merkavah is one of the deepest mysteries of Kabbalism. So, right, that's the type of mysticism that would have preceded Kabbalah. Would have been the Merkavah mysticism, where these rabbis, oh boy, they'd go through insane levels of purification and then descend to the throne of God. And it was a dangerous journey, that's for sure. It was a real dangerous journey if you look into it. Oh, goodness gracious. Okie doke. Let's see right here. The chariot of righteousness, the seat of the Most High, the mystery of the wheels that go all ways and are filled with eyes, is thus interpreted by the wisest of the Kabbalists. The chariot consists of four creatures called cherubs, each going a different way, each with four heads, six wings, and the hoofs of a calf. Each of the cherubs bore the face of a man, a bull, a lion, and an eagle, and their wings met at the corners of the Merkabah. Well, there we go. See, one true goddess was right. That does tie in with the universe card, huh? The Le Monde, the world card. Either way, same difference. Just depends on whose deck you're getting, whether they call it the world or the universe. Or I don't know, there's all these other decks out there. People will put some type of a spin on it, call it the, I don't know. Maybe you've got a deck like that. These mysterious creatures rode on wheels filled with eyes, and above them was a throne chair. Wait, did I skip one? No, I didn't. Okay. And above them was a throne chair. And upon the throne was an awful presence in white, surrounded by light and power and accompanied by a rainbow. So numerous and complicated are the interpretations of this vision that we mention only a small part of them. In simple statement, the Merkavah is the world or universe as the body or vehicle of the Creator. Dude, dang, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me, Manly P. Hall. Oh, Manly P. Hall, you were on something, weren't you? Something good, that's for sure. It is beneath his feet, for the earth is his footstool. The Merkavah is the footstool wherein God is manifest only in his lesser parts. We may expect, therefore, to discover an astronomical significance in the form and structure of the Merkavah. The cherubs are the symbols of the four cardinal angels, the equinoxes, and the solstices. It must be remembered that at the time this vision was described, the equinoxes fell in Taurus and Scorpio. but the solstices in Aquarius and Leo. These four signs are the bull, the eagle, the man, and the lion, respectively. These four signs not only occur frequently in the ancient Jewish metaphysics and the occult sciences of the Greeks and Egyptians, but reappear in the Christian mysteries in the forms of the symbols attributed to the four evangelists, who, as St. Augustine observed, were witnesses unto the four corners of the world. The sarcophagi of princes and prelates are frequently adorned with the four creatures, and they reoccur consistently in religious architecture. One true goddess says pulling the world was no coincidence. That's what I'm saying. He got us good with that one, Manly P. Hall. You're a great magician, that's for sure. The cherubim or living creatures are the four great guardians of the four corners of the sky or earth. We find them even in the mythology of the American Indians. Ancient astronomers on the plains of Chaldea established four great stars which appeared in the four constellations Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, and Scorpio, calling them the guardian angels. Each of the four guardians had 6 wings, which together make the 24 hours of the day. They also represented the zodiacal galaxies of stars, for it is written in the Kabbalistic books the stars are the eyes of the angels and that the bodies of the angels are full of eyes. In the Apocalypse occur the four horsemen who are an aspect of the same symbolism. And among the North American Indians, there were giant chieftains guarding the homes of the four winds. So cool. In Greek theology, Phanes burst from the egg of chaos, ornamented with the heads of birds and animals, these almost identical in description with the cherubim of Ezekiel. Excuse me. Thus, each human body is itself a Merkavah, a chariot of the law. The four bodies of man are represented by the four heads of the living creature. The physical body is the earth, or Taurus, which is seated in the heart. Therefore, the heart is the head of the bull in man. The next is the watery sign of Scorpio, represented by the eagle, which has its seat in the human spleen. The third is the fiery or emotional body of man, ruled by Leo, with its seat in the liver. The fourth head, that of the human being, belongs to Aquarius, the principle of mind, which has its seat in the brain. Each of these beasts goes a different way. That is, has its own surfaces and temperament. Yet together they form the chariot or Merkava of the spirit. Sick. Man. There you go. And that's exactly what that world card is. Where so if you add those four up, because if the girl in the middle is the hidden fifth element of spirit, and you see the other four in each of the corners, then all four of those coming together formed her right there. That dancing, because we're all doing the dance, right? So there you go. The dancing hermaphrodite in there. In the Paracelsian theory, the earth is composed of four elements: earth, water, fire, and air. These, in turn, correspond with the four heads of the cherubim. They are, therefore, the elements or substances from which all bodies, that is, chariots, are made. The hierarchies of the four corner or fixed signs are called the builders, or the form builders, because they have control over the formative processes of nature. To them are given the streams of the elements, which, pouring through these hierarchies, are distributed to form all corporeal natures. The cherubim are the four rivers that flow out of Eden, making fertile the material universe. From their commixing are produced the vehicles for the manifestation of life. They are the four white horses that draw the chariot of Abraxas, the Gnostic pantheos. It is important to note that the four-headed creatures are represented in other religions with symbols of identical meaning. In India, the lord of the material universe, that is, the world of the ancients personified, is Shiva. who is frequently represented with four heads. Brahma, manifested in the material universe through Shiva's principle, likewise is depicted with four heads. He had a fifth head which was cut off during a battle in heaven. The story of the fifth head of Brahma is a delightful allegory concerning the fifth element, the Azoth, or the quintessentia of alchemy, the universal mercury. In the Ezekiel account, the four creatures or elements carry in their midst the golden throne, the fifth element. Paracelsus says there is no greater mystery than the mystery of ether. Ether is truly the connective between the material and the spiritual worlds, even as it is the connective by means of which every superphysical principle directs its material organisms. Dang, and that just gave me a whole new idea about the jeweled net of Indra too, and more the Buddhist look that. So if each of the nodes is that spirit that glues together all the rest of the connections, and if we're all, because if that net represents the way that we're all co-creating this material thing within the mind of God. Dang, son. The likeness of a man full of fire that rode upon the cherubim is, of course, spirit, whether universal or individual, which is supported and carried by the elements and their principles. The wheels full of eyes refer to the heavens, the planets, the constellations, particularly the great wheel of the zodiac, which surrounds the earth and in which the cherubim turn. The universe itself is indeed the wheel within wheels. And that's what we see in that card too, because if that cough is the hidden wheel of fortune, that's the wheel within the wheel. Oh my goodness gracious. Cool. And in the midst of all the creatures sits the Ancient of Days, the Eternal One, the axis of law and life, the master of the mysteries. All right, then. Man, that was so cool. Okay, so now the sufferings of Job. Oh no, Job, Sodom and Gomorrah. Which reminds me, what was Mike Rodick's favorite Bible verse? Because I have a feeling that it was. All right, let's take a look. Mike Rodick. Aren't you the one that said? No, I don't think. Maybe it was you. Weren't you the one that said something about a bunch of ghost stories? Or is that somebody else? You came in here talking some smack one day. But hey, I'm glad you decided to come back. Oh, he's being a smart aleck, all right. He says the one that instructs slaves or servants to obey their earthly masters with respect, fear, and sincerity, as if serving Christ himself. Well, Mike Rodick, you really got me. Oh, you're so clever. Oh, Mike Rodick over here, the Bible expert. Where did you go to school, Mike Rodick? Oh, you dropped out? See, I even told him to put it in the chat, but he just came in to drop that bit and then dip. Like he thought he was coming in with such a mic drop. Oh my goodness. Uh, so the sufferings of Job. Oh, I was thinking that's the pillar of salt. No, that's Lot. That's Lot and his wife. All right, then. The book of Job may be called, without exaggeration, the finest and most significant book of the Bible. As literature, it definitely excels any of the others. It is really a poem, although now presented in prose form in the King James Version. There is a quality about the book of Job, a consistent excellence not to be found in any other of the Bible books. In theme, also, it transcends. The book of Job is an initiation ritual, one of the finest expositions of the mysteries to be found in the literature of the world. Nice. Unfortunately, its sublimity has been sensed by only a few of the most enlightened Bible students. Mike Rodick, this one's for you, buddy. And its inner meaning has been entirely ignored for centuries. All the average person knows about Job is that he had three perverse and worthless comforters who have become a byword for futile condolences. The whole premise of the book of Job is exceedingly peculiar. Satan, appearing before the footstool of God, argues with the Creator concerning the piety of Job, a just, perfect, and upright man in whom there is no flaw. Satan insists that Job is pious only because of the plenty which he enjoys. The Lord then gives Satan the privilege of afflicting Job to prove that a good man in adversity still venerates his Lord. Whereupon, and oh yeah, the Satanists, all the spooky ooky people, they love this type of stuff. This is where they see Satan was the good guy. Oh goodness gracious! Flip that coin some more, why don't you? Whereupon Satan, who has been walking up and down the earth, forces his attention upon Job. Through the machinations of the evil one, Job is stripped of all his possessions, even his children being taken away from him. But Job remains true, blessing the Lord that giveth and the Lord that taketh away. That sounds to me like a true karma yogi right there. That sounds to me like a true bhakta and a true karma yogi. But hey, another argument in heaven follows. Satan, not discouraged, assures the Lord that if Job's flesh be corrupted, then surely the prophet will decry his maker. So, Job is visited with boils, corruptions of the flesh, and the three comforters. The greater part of the book of Job is devoted to bits of advice given by the three comforters and Job's reactions. In his agony and torment, Job prays for death and release, but in his heart he remains steadfast to his realization that the ways of God are mysterious, but that there is truth in all of them. At last, because Job preserved his faith throughout the sore afflictions that have been visited upon him, the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning. Wealth and honor were restored to him. After this lived Job 140 years, and saw his sons and his sons' sons, even 4 generations. The roots of Goethe's Faust, are laid in the story of Job. It is a story of struggle and achievement. It is exceedingly difficult for even an Orthodox Christian to explain why God should pick out the most perfect of his prophets and turn him over to the tender mercies of Satan, to say nothing of Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite. When understood as an esoteric fable setting forth acceptance into the mysteries, the confusion is cleared away. Job is a neophyte, here depicted as a man of means and position. The Lord, in this case, is not God, but the Hierophant, the master of this secret house. Satan then assumes his correct position. He is the tester, the trier. There you go. See what I mean? And if I get everybody thinks they're just so cool, but that's all you're gonna find. You're just gonna find that what you're really doing is what this work is already an uphill climb, and now you've just gone ahead and thrown on like 15 weighted vests and an extra heavy backpack, and oh yeah, you put chains around your feet and chains around your neck, and so hey, I know everybody wants to be so hard. Oh, I go hard in the paint. Yeah, yeah, well, especially if you want to play that game. In the ancient mystery system, there was always a character who represented destruction, who sought to lure the neophyte away from the path of righteousness. He was frequently called the adversary. Job, entering into the mysteries of initiation, must first renounce possessions. It is said of the Pythagorean community that they possessed all in common and that no man had anything. Now, a rich man and so see, I already see where this is going. Because this really is, this is the story of the path itself right here, where If you don't keep your eyes on the prize, which is exactly what Job did with God, you're going to end up in the Pantheon bar talking about how the holy mountain is in your mouth. And everybody gather around and listen to my super awesome speech that I just plagiarized from somebody who actually went up the holy mountain. But hey, do what thou wilt. Now, a rich man being separated from his possessions usually suffers exceedingly. Furthermore, it was the duty of the mystery school to discover that part of the neophyte's life which was the weakest and assail him in that quarter. The student will remember how Socrates chastised Alcibiades for his love of wealth. And in India, even to this day, teachers force their disciples to perform those tasks most repugnant to them, that they may overcome all likes and dislikes and achieve detachment. So the initiator gave to Satan, the adversary, permission to strike Job in his weakest part, his wealth, to see whether the loss of things would destroy his vision or philosophy. So, see, there you go. There's a big clue, too. If you all came into this because you saw an opportunity for money, you saw an opportunity for sex, you saw an opportunity for power, well, you're already off on the wrong foot, but go off. The 7 sons and 3 daughters, like the 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels, are entirely symbolical numbers. By the 7 sons are signified his 7 bodies or outward parts, and by the 3 daughters his subjective or spiritual triad. But having been tested in his wealth, Job remained true. Thereupon Satan is permitted to attack him in his honor, which is represented by the boils. Furthermore, he is tormented by 3 negative spirits who are sent to him in his hour of misery. Even as in certain esoteric schools, the master is slain by 3 ruffians. I want to say something else too, because everybody thinks it's so sick to go to the cliff hop, right? Oh, I'm gonna go into cliff hop because that's where the real enlightenment is. Guess what, dude? When you start working the tree, the cliff hop is automatically activated. This is exactly what this is saying too. So every Sephiroth is gonna already automatically have that clip off, that bunch of shards, that shell, and it's the adept's job to do exactly what's being said here. But hey, go dumpster dive through the occult some more. You're real spooky and cool. There are also 3 degrees of the mysteries which he must pass or rise above. By longing for death, Job infers that he repents of having attempted initiation at that time. But his spirit still survives and he continues on, passing through one infirmity after the other, until at last he conquers himself and rises triumphantly from the ashes of his own sorrow. He is rewarded by the return many times over of all he has lost. The mysteries do not demand poverty, but they demand the right use of that which is possessed. Therefore, having become wise in all matters, Job received back his fortune, and with that his children, who, though dead, are conveniently born again of the same number and sex. Also his cattle are multiplied, and he abode in peace the rest of his days. The reader is not informed as to what occurred to either Satan or the 3 comforters who disappear when their work is completed. This is by, oh man, huh. This is by no means all of the story, but definitely is the key to it. The testing of Job is the testing of all men. Possibly the most difficult thing to explain is why a just man should be the one chosen for this misery. It should be remembered that the mystery schools accept only the wisest and the most perfect, and then subject them to ordeals of further testing before the secrets of the spiritual world should be revealed. If we look about us in life, we shall perceive, as Job did, that the wicked seem to flourish, and it is the just man who is stricken. Yeah, yeah, literally, though. This is part of the divine plan. The just man, having consecrated himself to the highest of his principles, is immediately confronted with karma and deluged with what seems to be adversity. In reality, this is not adversity, but the speeding up of evolution as the result of consecration to the spiritual life. More is expected of a man who is wise than of the man who is foolish. The older we grow, the more strength we have. And the more strength we have, the more sternly we are tested to prove that strength. But no man is tested beyond his capacity. Therefore, the Lord says to Satan that he may afflict Job, but that he may not take his life. Satan is not a spirit of destruction. There is no essential evil in the universe. Our present form of the devil is merely derived from the Greek nature god Pan. As Goethe says, Mephistopheles, or Satan, is part of the power that still works for good while ever scheming ill. Satan is really karma, but he is more than that. I'll say. He is that temptation from which arises strength. When the mysteries were celebrated in ancient Egypt, there was an evil spirit called Typhon or Set, who brought about the death of the god of the good Osiris. It is the red Set that has given us our concept of the devil. But Set was nothing but the material world, the ground of man's temptation, and also the environment in which he gains immortality through self discipline. Therefore, Set or Satan is divine opportunity, the world into which we come in ignorance, but from which we depart in wisdom. It is the obstacle that is ever building strength. It is that whole field of difficulty which, overcome, makes us master of our own life. Heard that. All right. We got one more little part again on Melchizedek. The 18th verse of the 14th chapter of Genesis reads, And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. The meeting of Abraham and Melchizedek seems to be the first statement of the Eucharist. The word Melchizedek is believed to mean king of righteousness, but this translation is entirely exoteric. In the old Chaldean Hebrew, Melchizedek means the authority of Sedek, or Sedek is king. Therefore, Sedek is king of Salem, which can mean either peace or a heaped up place. The city of Jerusalem is built upon a number of hills. The word Sedek comes from the Egyptian. The god Sedek was the father of the artificer gods of Egypt. Faber, one of the two, in his great work on the Noachic cycle, the Kabiri, says that the Phoenician and Samothracian rites, the seven Kabiri, that is the seven planetary gods that turn or move about the sun, are the children of Sedek. So Melchizedek is Father Sedek, the father of the planets and the Kabirian artificers. Thus Sedek is the sun. We have the same symbolism as with Moses, the letters of whose name, if rearranged, form the name of the sun, Samak. Moses, the red haired man, and Melchizedek, the king, the first priest, are both sun men. Now we understand why Melchizedek was his own father and mother, and why he is the founder of the eternal priesthood. We also understand why Christ is likened unto Melchizedek, and why he is called a priest after the order of Melchizedek. The sun gives light to all the world. Christ lighteth every man that cometh into the world. Therefore, Christ is a light symbol, and all light is derived from the great light. the Son, whose temple is eternal in the heavens. The sons of the Son are the light bringers, the prophets and teachers. For as the sun dispels the darkness of night, so the prophets dispel the darkness of ignorance and assume their legitimate place as servants of light. 123, page 123. All right, then. So cool. That does it for section 6, Saturday morning stream. Just was the stream of Saturday. For some of you, it's afternoon already. For some of you, it's evening. For some of you, it's a whole other dimension. So, when we get back to Class B, we will be looking at section 7, starting out talking about the New Testament. Well, that ought to be very interesting. Man, this section was really good. This book has been really good so far. Hopefully, you're feeling the same. Hopefully, you're liking it. Hopefully, you're passing those trials of Satan. Oh, buddy. I have thoughts, but I guess I'm deciding how much I want to go into them. And let's see. Oh, at Terrible Time says Satan bombed Iran today. Well, I guess that's one way to look at it, huh? Terrible times. Oh, that was terrible. That is one way to look at it, that's for sure. But I know what you're really saying. Oh my goodness, get out of here with that. Grow up. Man, the real hard hitters are popping in today, huh? And not the hard hitters that I like to see in here. The hard hitters, as in they took a hard hit to their head, obviously, at some point in their life. Huh. I said the thing yesterday about substances, right? And especially when we talk about harder substances. So if we look at all the different substances of the world as spirits, I mean, even liquor, right, is often called spirits. Well, sure, a good amount of people are able to just engage in a drink here or there. A lot of people end up becoming more, even if it's a lighter type of an alcoholic, where they're kind of like a binge drinkers or something, still developing some kind of a problem with it. And some people that last their whole life, right? Some people get to a point where they really do decide, nope, I've had enough. Enough is enough, and I know when enough is enough, and I hit that spot. Some people end up becoming a very bad drinker, of like a really bad drinker. Maybe you've known one in your life. Maybe you've seen just how bad it can get, because it can certainly get nearly as bad as some of the harder substances that go around on the streets, if not worse at times. And so, if we're looking at the different types of spirit work as that, especially things like Goetia, is basically that exact thing, where you are deciding to engage in that exact type of stuff. And so that's why I just really don't think there should be so much hype about it. I don't think that everybody should be getting so excited about it and so quick to do it, because it's pretty much the spiritual equivalent of that exact thing. You're deciding that, oh, I can shoot up a little bit. I'll be okay. And hey, maybe for some people that's true. A very small number of people that's true. But for most people, you're going to end up going through hell, which is why they are demonic intelligences. They are lower intelligences. Like, I don't care what the heck anybody else says. Congratulations, you read, you read this obscure book that, or whatever, you know what I mean? You went ahead and convinced yourself of some nonsense, all because why? I wonder. Take a closer look, and it's pretty obvious. So that's not to say that, yeah, there are the super small number of people out there who are able to successfully do these more intense types of magic. But for the most part, it's just going to be a really rough ride for a lot of people. But I guess that's everybody else's karma to sort out. I just think there's not nearly enough people out here giving you the truth of the matter, and there's a lot more people out here who, just like the friend who gives you your first hit of whatever. Oh yeah, man, no, don't worry, you'll be fine. I've been doing this for a while. I'm good. Look at me, bro. Even though, yeah, you take a close look and they're actually not good. But peer pressure, right? Oh, that peer pressure is like Ice Cube said, that peer pressure is a mother. And I've said many times, I've like put myself out there in streams where I'm like, hey, if you guys want to know more about this, you can hit me up. Do you know how many people ever hit me up? None, but they'll go rushing right to the popular to that exact person in the occult sense who's like, oh, come on over here, get the first hits for free. Come on down, fine. Look at me, I'm fine. But are they? Are they? Are they? And what's ridiculous is there are a couple of people out here who really are on that level, but they have like hardly anybody watching their stream. They have like hardly anybody actually following them. They've got like such small followings, and they're like the ones who are actually on that like real type of time with the real good teachings. It's like a Magus I know once said. If it's the popular thing, if it's what everybody's talking about, well then that's probably not the actual sauce. So anyway, that's why I'm so excited for Monday. Don't forget it. Monday we are going to be popping in. Oh, not that one. We're going to be popping in on this one here, the Hermetica. Class A, that's going to be our reading. Our beige book reading. It's beige. It's beige and red, right? I guess. Yep, that's going to be our reading on Monday. So definitely get this book and have it on your shelf. You're going to enjoy this one a lot, and it's one that should be pretty quick to get through. Oh, and also I'd like to say this too. You know, those same exact people who are giving you your first hit for free are the ones who are saying things like, "These are all just gods that are demonized." Yeah, what they're doing is lying to you. Because even if that's what they're doing is stretching the truth, which is what? A lie. So what little bit of truth there is, where one's, yeah, like Astaroth, who is the demonized version, which as the intelligence Astaroth, that's basically a demonic mask that the goddess Astarte wears. But yeah, you don't want to hear that, do you? Some of these spirits are just straight up demons. But some of them, yeah, are demonized gods, and you can choose to work with them in these different forms. But yeah, go listen to the person who tells you what you want to hear some more. Go just whatever, do what thou wilt at a certain point. Oh. Or at the, maybe just don't listen to like the one occultist or the two or three occultists out here who are just saying that nonsense, and go try to quit with the confirmation bias and go try to find other opinions. Go try to see what the people on the, well, not even on the other side of the coin, just the people who are out here on all different spectrums of magic have to say about it. Because the majority of people who have actually done this stuff will tell you that, yeah, there shouldn't be all this hype about it. A lot of these people are just asking for a bad time. They really are. But again, everybody wants to I don't know. Everybody's got some point to prove. Well, who? Ask yourself that question at the very least. Who is it? Who is it that wants to prove this point so badly? Who is it who needs to prove mommy and daddy wrong? Who is it who needs to prove my ex wrong? Who is it who needs to prove those, whoever the heck it is in your life? Who is it that really needs to prove that wrong? Who is it who really thrives off of feeling so special, so spooky, so whatever? Start answering that question. You'll already be off on a much better foot than trying to be the occult moneymaker. Oh boy. All right. Now I have said what I need to say. And don't worry, the Hermetica is going to tell you too. This is the same as there's other actual occultists out here who have actually been doing this stuff for like 20, 30 years. Not that, so let me tell you this too. There's the people out here who are like, oh, I've got 20 years of experience. Yeah, they bought the Necronomicon in high school and now they consider themselves a 20-year occultist, even though if you watch their older content, it's pretty obvious that they're just, yeah, they're not. At least the ones who have their older content still up, who haven't just gone and deleted it all and said that, oh, it got deleted. No, you realized just how much you were showing is probably what really happened, and so you went and deleted it. But for some of the ones whose stuff is up, yep, you can just go watch that. You can just go, like I say, pay attention. You can just go watch that content and it'll be pretty obvious. Or you can even pay attention to some of them who were saying things just not even that long ago that are pretty different from what they're saying now. But hey, pull out your wallet. Be the Fry meme some more. Shut up and take my money. Boy, oh boy. Kali Yuga type, huh? So, now that I've gone off on a real rant, boy, you thought I ranted before, huh? Sometimes I have. But oh my goodness. Saturday. It's the spirits of Saturn. They're getting to me. It's the spirits of the Diet Coke. They're getting to me. I don't think I got anything else to say besides that. I hope you enjoyed today's book read. I hope you're going to be so excited to start up a new class on Monday. I hope you all have a tremendous weekend. I hope you all quit resisting nature. I hope you all really start doing some critical thinking if you haven't been already. I hope you all really start to make the moves that I know a lot of you are going to make, for sure. And for the ones who are working towards that, well, hey, you just keep being patient with yourself. Keep up the good work. I'm proud of you. God is proud of you. Make your ancestors proud of you too. All right, much love. This has been Jay. Bow there. See you Monday. Bye bye.